So today we have Fanatic, aka Billy Lennox.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here, Sage.
Thank
So
you.
glad to
Thanks for
be here.
being here.
No doubt. No doubt. Always got to show you love and support everything that you do in your endeavors. You came here to Hollywood and you are making it happen at every turn. So I appreciate you. I appreciate your support and the knowledge and information that you share with me to help me in my journey as well. So thank you.
Thanks. Yes, we've worked together on a project already or two. So, how are things? What are you working on these days?
Everything is beautiful. Just in the artist space, working on this Billy Lennox project, doing music, doing fashion. I've been in the studio recording and writing. I think I have a good body of work that I'm comfortable with, that now I'm ready to shop to major labels and pursue distribution to get the music out there, get the band out on the road this summer and this fall, and do some touring. And I'm just ready to share my gift of music with people, you know, on the next phase of the journey, basically.
With your career so far, how many people have helped you? Like, the whole point of Shout Out with Sage is to learn about your journey and how you ended up where you are today. So could you give us a bit of background? So you're going to go on tour, but sort of what have been a few pivotal steps up to this point?
Well, I've just been very fortunate enough to have great mentors in my life and my career. Very early on, Vincent Herbert discovered me, who, you know, he found Lady Gaga and JoJo and a lot of other great artists. He was very instrumental in finding me in North Carolina. I'm from Greensboro, North Carolina. He found me there, brought me to New York City, introduced me to the music business at a much higher level than I had been on previously, and basically kind of schooled me to the game and how it works. After that, I worked with P. Diddy, or Diddy, and he also mentored me as a producer. I learned very, very very important things along the way with him, in terms of working with other talented people in terms of teamwork. I was before I was producing everything myself and writing everything myself, and with him I learned about working with a team and being able to collaborate, the art of collaboration with him. So it took my production skills to an even higher level. And so I've also worked with Omar Rambert from Overbrook Entertainment, and he's been a mentor, and he's helped me so many different ways with artist development, with artists that I was developing at the time, as well as me moving into artist space.
Could you be more specific? Like just give us an example of something, if you're, for those people who are, you know, maybe more beginners in the industry, like a specific tip.
Well, one, with when I was working with P. Diddy, the biggest thing that he was preaching at the time was work ethic, making sure that you put in the work, putting in 100,000 hours. So if you're constantly working and constantly working on your craft every day, then you fall into that space of repetition where it becomes involuntary, and you're doing your best work because you're doing it over and over and over again, and you just get into a space, a great creative space. Because if we look at all of the artists, our favorite artists out there, they all have a creative peak where they are doing their best work. And whether that's, you know, very early on in their career, or they finally get the resources and the support system that gives them the space to create, it could happen at that point. But you're in a space where you're creating music constantly with no distractions, and you're creating your best work. So he just really expressed to me about that moment and understanding how important that moment is. And when you get into it, to maximize that moment of creating constantly and just doing it so much that, you know, you're just doing your best work, because it becomes, like I said, it becomes involuntary at that point.
And sorry, I sort of interrupted you there when you were talking about Overbrook, so maybe we could backstep a little for you to elaborate more about your help at Overbrook.
No problem. Well, Overbrook, like I said, Omar Rambert, he has helped me understand artist development, which is really interesting, because Vincent Herbert, P. Diddy and Omar Rambert all come from a time when artist development was so important and so crucial with the artists that they worked with. So just understanding that, which is something that is very much missing in today's artists that are out now, is artist development. So I was fortunate enough to learn from those three people that were very big on that. So a lot of things that I learned from them, I'm now able to put into my artistry, which enables me, I feel, to give me an advantage and separate me from a lot of the artists out there, because I've already figured it out before I'm getting out there versus getting out in the public and figuring it out as you go.
Okay, and just hold that thought. So we go to commercial, and we will expand on those ideas when we come back.
Sure.
And okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, I just found out we're not going to commercial.
Okay, let's keep talking.
Okay, sorry, I'm just I'm checking my phone here.
Okay.
So, okay, so we're not going to commercial. And did you want to continue on your thought process there?
No, that was basically it. Just artist development is so important now. And I think that, like I said, that gives me an advantage over a lot of artists that are out here, because I have already taken the steps of developing myself and being very sure of who I am. Because when you come out here in this business, if you don't know who you are, it's easy to get lost. And again, if you don't know who you are, they will definitely tell you who you are. Most of the time, they're not right. So I'm just glad that I really was able to apply a lot of that information that they gave to me, and it's made my journey transitioning from producer to artist a lot smoother.
And what inspired you to move from producer to artist?
It's always been there, but I've always played the background because I love the creative process of being the person behind the scenes that's making things happen. But I felt there's some disadvantages to that, with making sure that your vision is executed all the way through. You may have the best record on the album, but there are bigger name producers on the album that may end up getting the single off of the album. So this way, if I'm the artist, I'm more in control of my own destiny. So if I am making the music and I feel like this record should be the single, I have the power to make that record, you know, be the focus on promoting the album. And also when the pandemic happened, that's the first time I ever really had the space to just sit still and create from sun up to sundown, just writing and producing music. And I've never had that type of space where things just stop and you now can really focus on what you're doing. So it started with one record, the Scars record, which was my first single. It started there, and it allowed me to experiment and try things. And so some records didn't work and others did. So by the time we came out of the pandemic, I was able to find a good number of records that was a body of work that I could consistently get into that space as an artist and creating that vibe over and over again. And it allowed me to create a whole album. And I've never done that before.
What is your favorite part about the creative process?
Being able to take a thought in your head and being able to make it breathe, being able to put it all together. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But when it does work, it's the greatest feeling in the world, because very early on as a producer, you know when you're having one of those moments where it's like, okay, I'm on to something here. This is something special. And it's always a challenge to finish it and get it all the way through, because you may start off with just the music and you know, like, this track is really amazing.
It's the one. Yeah.
Yes, this is that moment. It's getting ready to happen. And so just making sure that you execute the next process with writing the lyrics, or the next process of executing the lyrics. You're singing the lyrics, executing the process of mixing the record, executing the process of making the music video. And so, you know, early on, you know what it is, and it's just really interesting and challenging to complete every other step along the way. Because as you know, from being a filmmaker yourself, you can start with a great script, but you still have to cast the right people. You still have to get the right producers on board. The magic still has to happen, and there's many steps along the way. And even when you finish the film, being able to market and promote it properly so that it reaches the right audience. So there's so many steps in the process that you have to make sure you check all of those boxes in order to bring your vision into fruition and have it be successful.
Yes, editing, you know, the edit is very
So
important. It can change. I'm sure it's the same in music. It can change a song, or it can change a
yeah.
film, and the all of those
Mhm.
external influences can greatly affect, the
Yeah, a
overall.
lot of great things have to happen in order for you to have your moment. Like even when I was working on film, understanding the importance of scoring and how it affects the dialogue and the script and how it's getting your vision across. So just really understanding that every step along the way is so important and so crucial to having success.
How long ago was it that you came to LA from North Carolina?
Well, I did a stop in New York for 10 years, and then
Mm.
I came to LA. And I was one of the last persons to leave New York City. The business had shifted, and a lot of the music people had moved to LA. It was the weather there was not good. It was just like I had diehard New Yorkers saying it's just too cold in New York City. And I had been there for 10 years. And I think the year that I left, the second I left, they had the earthquake, the snowstorm, the flood. They had like four
Oh,
natural
wow.
disasters that had never happened before in a very long time in New York City. And so I knew it was time for me to go. And just hitting the ground in LA, and just LA has a certain optimism about it that you feel when you get here, because you see so many people doing the same, trying to do the same things that you are trying to do. So it's a lot of like-minded people here, which gives you the inspiration and the drive to keep going and keep pursuing your dream.
Do you also find though it's difficult to sort yourself, if more competition, or you don't feel like there's more competition because you're a unique individual, or how was it when you first came to LA, like in
I
regards
used to feel
to
that. I used to feel that when I first got here, and it was a little intimidating at first because so many people are coming here to do exactly what you're doing, right?
right.
But then when the pandemic happened, I realized that God gave each and every one of us something unique that separates us from everybody else. And it could be a multitude of different things. But the thing is to recognize what it is that you have that is so special, that stands out from what everybody else is doing. And once you find that out and you have a clear understanding of that, then you realize there is no competition. You're here to do what it is that you're here to do. And I feel that way about everything that I'm creating, from my films to my music to fashion to everything that I'm doing. I'm here to create something that is missing. And you're in tune with God, you're in tune with what you're creating, and you're a true believer in those things. You start realizing that He has carved out a space for you to exist in the culture and in the industry where you can make an impact. And it's just about staying committed to that, no matter how long it takes, understanding God's timing, just being ready, always being ready, working on this every single day. Every single day, you have to do something that will get you,
To the
further
next
where.
level, to the next place, right?
And if
Exactly.
you ever feel discouraged, just look back. Look back 6 months
This
ago, where you were, who your network was, what opportunities you had on the table, and what you were doing, and then look at where you are now, and that should give you the confidence to keep going.
Definitely, I find that especially in film as well. Like sometimes you don't think you're making progress, but then when you look over your shoulder, yeah, you've made some progress. You might not be where you want to be, but you've definitely taken a few steps forward. So
And Sage, that like a lot of people don't realize, we see these films and we think these films just pop up and it's just done. Like a lot of these films, these scripts have been in development for 10, 12, 15 years. They've been in production. People have, it stops and starts. People fall off of
oh,
working on these films.
yes, you have this
It's a
actor
very
and then
long
it goes
time.
to a different actor, and then you have
Yes,
this lead person, it goes to a different lead
yes,
person. Definitely.
yes.
And so we've talked about your shout out and who has inspired you,
Mhm.
and why you came from New York to LA,
Yes.
and what was the inspiration for that you said it was the inspiration for that particular music video. Do you want to recap
Oh yeah,
that?
yes, yes. When we've been given the opportunity to do rock music, We always excel, to the front of the line. Jimi Hendrix did it, Chuck Berry did it, Little Richard did it, Andre 3000 did it, Pharrell did it, Lenny Kravitz did it. So many artists have done that. And here we are in 2022, and I look around and I don't see very many artists that look like me doing rock and roll. And we've been kind of segregated to doing hip hop and R&B. And so it's kind of an oversaturated market. But I feel like if we were able to see ourselves doing this music more on a grander scale, at the highest level, I think more younger artists of color would be inspired to pursue this genre of music and express themselves through it. And I just love it because rock and roll is so rebellious. There's so many different shades to it. You can fuse so many things with it and really create something that's different and unique. And it makes me feel sexy, and I just love it. I love expressing myself through that genre of music.
And I know that you've also been giving back to your community through various organizations. Did you want to maybe expand on that for us? And
Yes,
it's really great what you're doing. So
yes, I started a nonprofit called the Culture Pushers, and what we do is we mentor young artists and creatives and help them. We let them utilize our network of connections and relationships. We help them partner with corporate sponsors. We mentor them and give them advice. All of us have seen too many talented people in film and music and entertainment, period, that the business causes them to lose their passion to pursue their dreams. And I know how that feels, and I know how tough and challenging this business can be on people. And I don't want to see that happen. So I created this nonprofit to help creators in that space get through that. Whatever I can do, all the experiences that I've been through, I've been through. I've experienced a lot of different things in my career, and it's so important. Some of those things could be perceived as pitfalls or bad things that have happened. But I think all those things happened in my career so that I have a testimonial for other artists and other creatives that are having difficulty navigating through the business. I have something that I can share.
Give us an example of something that maybe there's a bump in a road or something that's personally happened to you, like an obstacle that you've had to overcome.
One of the things that's been in the conversation that stood out recently is just I produced a record for the Fugees called Killing Me Softly. And by me not being on top of my business, me not following through with the project and being committed to the project, the record sold 30 million units, and I didn't get credit for it. I didn't get compensation for it. I didn't get royalties for it. So it's something that
that's that must be disappointing a little bit.
I've definitely had nightmares sitting in a doctor's office or a grocery store and hearing it on the speaker above. But the bottom line is there's two ways that I look at that situation. Is that I'm a messenger, I'm a vessel. God sends music through me to spread, to make people feel something, whether it's love, whether it's to help them get through a relationship, whether it's for people to have a good time. So I did my job by doing the music, and that's ultimately what I'm supposed to do. Is my music is supposed to touch people and make them feel something good, and that record did that. And so when I see people dancing to it and I'm in the party and nobody knows I did that record or was part of it, it makes me feel good that people still enjoy it, people still feel it. So that's really the real reward in all this. It's not so much always about the money. You just have to be smarter in your decision making and make sure that you're on top of your business moving forward with everything else you do. But
can we maybe just pick a little bit, like how exactly did you drop the ball there? Like you don't have to go into major details, but just
being very naive in that situation. I went there and I started on the record, and I was told not to come back and work with them on the record unless I was being compensated for it. And so at that moment, I chose, you know, finances over what I really got into the music business for, which was my passion for music, my passion
Right.
to create music. And that's something when we're going through tough times, I always rely on that. Has kept me hungry, kept me focused, and kept me doing music. Is that my passion for creating music has always been there, and it hasn't waned. So when that happens, I should have focused on like focus on the music, getting the record done, making sure you're getting it done. And then after that, making sure your business is done in terms of your contracts and producers agreements, making sure your attorney is following through with everything. And at that time, being so young in the business, I just chalked it up for, you know, with experience and just let it go. And
So in hindsight, you would have stayed on it
definitely, definitely.
and just and regardless of maybe you might have got paid, maybe you might not have got paid,
Right.
but you would have finished the job, correct?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I didn't even have any money at that time anyway. So it wasn't like I was, you know, it wasn't like I was, had all these other opportunities. I was making money that I was like, well, I'm gonna go over here where I'm making money doing this. It was like it was one of the first projects I worked on, and you know, I wasn't even in a financial situation where money was even a factor. So I should have
Right. When
stayed
you're
on.
poor, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it's like two things. You're poor, you have so much, you have so much. The
right.
middle's where the
You
yeah.
have to do the work at the end of the day. It will all take care of itself. And had I done the work and stayed there, I
Mm,
probably would have worked more on it because we had a great chemistry, and we were doing a lot of music in that time, in that little bit of time that I was over there. And so I
mm.
probably would have done more with them and continued to work with them. So
Right. That brings up an interesting point, chemistry. How important is that in in your overall creative process, or like when you pick people to collaborate with? How does chemistry factor into that?
our chemistry is the most important thing.
Mm,
I always like, before I work with somebody, whether it's music or film or whatever, is like to just sit down and have a conversation and pick their brain and see, do we have similar interests? Do we still have this? Do we have the same goals in mind with the project? It's so important that you know, our personalities mesh, and where I fall short, that other person, I see excels in that space, and vice versa.
mm,
So chemistry is important with everything you do, whether it's music, film, or whatever. Somebody has to be a leader. I always look at it like Batman and Robin. You have to know when to play Batman, and you have to know when to play Robin. And when you're doing creative projects, you have to pick and choose your battles. And so I learned that very on as a producer. I learned that when working with film. I also learned that it will be very valuable for me when moving forward with my career in the music that I'm doing, because you have to work with a team that, you know, it's like having an all-star team. You have to put an all-star team together of people around you that can help you exercise your vision and take it across the finish line. So it's so important that you know what your strengths are, your weaknesses are, and you surround yourself with the people that can make you just feel like you have an all-star team, and you know when to shoot, and you
that
know
can bring you up to the next level and excel
definitely.
together and take you to the next level.
Mm.
With that, has there been any like major stumbling blocks? Like, so you've moved around a lot. Like, has there ever been a time where you really felt like maybe you were on the wrong path? Like maybe you should get out of music, or did you always know it was the right place for you?
Well, I never felt the need to get out of music because I never lost my passion for creating. Like being able to take something in your head and bring it to life and create it and put all the pieces together. It's a lengthy process, but when you do it and then you put it out there and people feel it and you see it affect people, and people dance to it, and they feel good about it, that's the ultimate goal that just keeps me going over and over again. To see your piece of music fit in a film, and it just works, is what always keeps me going. So and I've learned like to not make decisions based upon money or my financial situation at the time, because a lot of
Mm,
times I've found that you make decisions based on your financial situation at the time, and it usually turns out to be a bad decision. So
mm.
my thing is like, I understand in the entertainment business, especially when you're investing in your own production company, you're going to have moments that are up and down financially. You just have to get through it. So my biggest thing is just endurance. I'm all about endure. Just endure the moment. It always seems like it's taking forever for it to happen. But then when you look back at it, it's just a small moment in your journey, and it goes by. You just have to have the mental toughness and the belief in what you're doing to endure all the BS and the ups and downs and the roadblocks and the gatekeepers and everything that is in this business. There's a lot of mental trauma that you experience from this business.
Right.
You just have to be very strong and very, you just have to be very solid in your belief in what you're doing.
How do you deal with the gatekeepers or people who are not really helping you achieve your goals? You know, how do you approach that?
Just being very realistic about, we're just in a business, period, the entertainment business, where 1 minute nobody is checking for you, and the next minute everybody is checking for you. And so not to take those things personally, because those people are, you know, they may be somebody that can really help you get to the next level once you arrive at the door. So you can't take it personal. Everybody doesn't have time to pay attention, because I look at it like this, like I send music out to somebody, and if they don't respond right away, you know, I always, you know, I used to look at it as a bad thing, but I know how it is when people send me music sometimes and the things that I have going on.
People send me screenplays.
Right. And it's like, I don't have time to deal with it either. So,
I mean, it's a lot to read. Yeah.
Right. So imagine somebody on a level higher than you that is getting even more scripts, and even from qualified people, that you're getting all of this stuff that, you know, people are asking you for something for, and you don't really have time to deal with it. So I don't take any of that stuff personal, but I just know that realistically, you're going to have your moment, and a bunch of people that weren't checking for you before, all of a sudden, you're their best friend. They want to work with you. And
you're
like
hot.
that.
You're hot.
Right. You just got to know when you get to that moment, you just got to know your value and your worth, and make sure that they respect that and they treat you that way, you know?
And what were some of the hurdles that you faced when you first, like way back when you first started out in music? Was your family supportive, or were they like, no, don't do that? Or how did all that work out?
Well, I come from a family of educators. My mother and my stepfather were educators, and my biological father was a dreamer and an entrepreneur. So, you know, of course, your mom wants you to go to college. She wants you to, you know,
be a doctor, a lawyer, be a professional.
Yes. Go to college, come out, get a good job, you know, get the house, you know, the car, two cars in the family. She comes from that school. I'm more of a rebel like my dad, where it's like, I'm going to take the road less traveled and try to really do something that makes me happy at the end of the day, versus living up to the expectations of other people that they place on you. So yes, I didn't really have the support, but now, also too, at that time when you're younger, it's not really easy to articulate that to your parents and get them to understand. Sometimes they don't get it. Sometimes they have to see you do it. I've been doing it for so long now. My mother is one of my biggest supporters, and she understands what it takes sometimes. And she supports me, and she gives me confidence to keep going. She believes in me. She's seen me do it. I think I surprise her at times at the things that I'm able to do, but she sees the potential, and she supports me. So it's a lot easier now, but it wasn't so easy starting off. Of course, the people in your hometown don't believe it can happen until it does. So
right. Yeah. Small town thinking. Yeah.
Definitely, the small town mentality definitely is a huge thing.
Yeah, but it's a big thing to overcome, and well, maybe, you know, they need to see a few more of your music videos to know that it's possible. So how did you get the idea for that music video, Scars?
I just realized that us as a people, all of us, we have scars, we have traumas, we have things from our past. And it would be great if we could have open dialogue with each other and trust each other enough to be transparent about those traumas from our past, so that we could coexist with each other. And so in the video, I just wanted to make a provocative video that really showed about a man caring about the scars of somebody and helping her get through that process of healing from her scars. And it's so important to heal from those scars before you get into your next relationship, because
Yes,
carrying that
that
back.
would be advisable.
Right.
Doesn't always
Yeah.
happen.
Right.
Very rarely does that happen.
Right. Yeah. So that's the thing. Heal first, but if you can't heal, at least be patient enough and understanding and compassionate enough to help that person heal from their traumas of their past. And so,
Well, I just think, yeah, a lot of people aren't even aware of what they're
definitely.
of their, and I think at least if you're aware, I think that's super important.
Yes.
And then, you can, if you're not aware, then you can't even deal with it. So that's
Yes.
a problem in itself.
That's so important. And um, that was the video that kind of set it off for me. And as we were talking earlier, I do realize that people know me as a producer, so they don't know me as a front man in a rock and roll band. So
Okay.
each video, I'm getting more and more comfortable with expressing myself. I can see from the response that I get from the music and from the videos that now they see that I'm more comfortable in that space, and they can really understand that, like, that's really who he is. Like, this is something that is really into him. This is who he is. So
Did you have stage fright or performance anxiety or anything like that at the beginning?
not really performance anxiety, but I just feel like I'm more seasoned now in the character, because Billy Lennox is an alter ego to Fanatic. And so I'm more comfortable in that character and being able to express myself in that character with no inhibitions. And I think people see that the character is more believable now because it is an extension of who I am. And it's something that a lot of people want to vicariously live through. The things that I'm doing and the things that I'm singing about and how I'm expressing myself, whether it be through fashion, my sexuality, my music, whatever it is.
Right. So can you explain that for us? So Fanatic is the producer and Billy Lennox is the performer, or could you
Yeah.
sort of explain the name
Yes.
dichotomy?
Fanatic is an introvert music lover that just is immersed in producing music and being able to have a vision for the music and execute it from the background. Billy Lennox is the guy that's out front, that's expressing himself freely in every possible way. And, being very outspoken, being um, very convicted in the things that I believe in.
Mm.
Um, um, just being very out there with everything that he's just somebody that is a extrovert that I've always wanted to be. He is the extrovert I've always wanted to be. And I love being in that space because there is a time in the moment where that person or that alter ego is very important to my growth. And it's very important to, I think, to society, because there's some things that I'm talking about that most people aren't talking about.
We met on doing some film work. Are you doing any more film work? Is there more to come?
Okay. Yes. Well, that film is something. It's so interesting. When we started that film, the topic of racism, this was before America exploded into this space, and we were so early on. I don't think a lot of people understood it. I don't think a lot of people got it, but it's a good thing, because now since then it started off as a long form music video, then it went into a short film, and now I've developed it into a full screenplay. It took me 3 or 4 years to write, and now I'm in the process of the next step in producing it and getting distribution for it. But the best thing about it is, now when I take those meetings and we talk about this story and we talk about the topic of this story, it's not so far into the studios now. Now they've seen the success of these type of movies, and I still feel like we have a story and something to talk about with the incorporation of music, that we're telling it from a different lens that other storytellers still have not done. So I think there's still a place for this movie in the market to do well. So I'm excited about the opportunities that are ahead, further building my brand, which will open doors for those things to happen and those conversations to happen for me to produce that film.
Okay. And how long has it been taking you to write all that?
Oh my gosh. So from the original treatment to the actual screenplay, it's taken about 12 years. I started this back in 2012. So you know, just getting the confidence to sit down and write a script and believing that you can actually write one, you know, that took.
Oh yeah, writing's hard. As my one professor said, there's a difference between typing and writing. Just
Yeah.
because you're typing doesn't mean you're actually writing
And
anything.
it took me multiple drafts to realize that. And
Right.
sometimes it's just getting your ideas out and then tweaking the character development can take a very long time. And also, as society changes, you know, their
Right.
views on things.
It's going to influence
Right.
your writing because you want to keep it relevant, and so there might be points, you know, as society changes, just certain things become passé, so you
Definitely.
need to keep
And it doesn't matter that it's a period piece. It's still certain things that you still have to adjust in the character and their point of view or the story that are still, you know, relevant to what's going on in the culture right now, because that's who you want to see your film. And everybody may not have the understanding that this is the mind state and the how things were back then. Sometimes you have to tweak it just a little bit so that they can even get it, or they'll even be receptive to it, to support it.
And why did you feel compelled to write that type of a story?
Because
for obvious reasons, but there must be something more like inside of you that feels that it needs to come out. So.
For me, I was seeing we were going through something in this country, and I saw it early on. And the things that were happening aren't things that were foreign to me, because I grew up in the South, and so I know what all of that is. I've seen it, but you know, racism just exploded into the mainstream with a lot of these trials and this police brutality and all these things that have happened over the last 20 years. And we were seeing it because of the social media now, and us getting our news from social media. We were seeing racism in a way that we had never seen it before. So I thought it was very important to bring that story, because to me, when you have these stories and you have these conversations, that's when change happens, because now people are talking about it. You can get through any situation or any difficulty or issues that you have with somebody if you can sit down and have an open and honest dialogue. And so I felt like through my storytelling, I could open up that conversation to show that we're not so different. And I can show you through music, the power of music more than anything, that is something that brings us all together. And so that is really the gist of the story that I wrote, is more about how music can break down racial barriers and bring us all together, because it's something that is universal for all.
Yeah, we all share it, and you can see all the crossover that's happening, and then your point, how you guys, I mean, had it stolen from you, so definitely been using it. And I know that you need to take off for another interview somewhere. So I just want to thank you, Billy Lennox, Fanatic, aka Billy Lennox, for being here, and for you know, sharing your time and your vision. And just give another shout out for your organization.
Okay. First of all, I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for your professionalism and your journalistic expertise. You're really good with your questioning and allowing me to dig deeper and express myself in ways that I haven't on other podcasts and things like that as well. So
thank you. You know, I really want, I want it to be informational and educational, especially for more, you know, novice people, because you have all this experience and you've already, you know, been through the trenches, so to say. And I think that's just very valuable information for people who are starting out or maybe in the middle of their careers. So
yes, so I appreciate your platform very much. You can find me on Instagram at Fanatic, aka Billy Lennox. Fanatic is spelled F-A-N-A-T-I-C. Billy Lennox is B-I-L-L-I-E L-E-N-N-O-X. So Fanatic, aka Billy Lennox, on Instagram. Go to YouTube and look up Billy Lennox to see the Scars video, Electric Sex, Can't Live Without You, and just catch me out there. We plan on having a really big year, and becoming a household name is the goal at the end of the year, so that we can do all kinds of projects that will influence and inspire the culture.
Great. Well, thank you for being here, and it was great to see you.